So if we can put our right hand behind our head and just see if you can relax your elbow out as much as you comfortably can, and bend your right knee up so your left leg stays long. And all I'm going to ask you to do is take a breath in and see if you can take a breath in and push your head into your hand so that you get to feel you can contract your neck muscles, and then you get to feel that if you softened that pressure, the neck muscles will soften with it. And you might want to try that a few times, and each time you do it, you might notice that your right shoulder's pressing back towards the floor as well. If it's not, can you send your right shoulder to press back to the mat, so that as you soften the pressure of the head, or the push of the head, the neck lets go, but so does the shoulder, and you might feel the shoulder blade move and shift position. Just try it a few more times, and maybe the head just kind of tips towards the right ever so slightly. It might not. Just let it see what it wants to do. And maybe your right elbow will press towards the floor as well. Sometimes people find that challenging, so just see what's there and then melt that away. But what we want to start to notice is that each time we press the head into the hand and the shoulder into the floor, the shoulder blade is going to pull towards the spine, and we're going to squeeze the rhomboid muscle underneath. And can we feel an arch being created in the right rib cage? It's like the rib cage is lifting off the floor. So that when we exhale, can we sink the ribs? Can we feel the shoulder blade move back away from the spine? The rhomboid muscle lengthens out, the shoulder shifts back to neutral, the head stops pressing into the hand. Just try that a few times. Really feeling the full pattern starting to take effect. You may even begin to feel yourself tipping in the pelvis. If you are, where are you tipping to? Each time you melt, see if you can notice the change in the shoulder blade, the softening of the back as the rib cage lowers, and the shoulder and the neck also letting go. They work together as a team. So just check in on the whole pattern. What's not letting go? Feel free to shout out and tell me for those that are on the live. And just see if there's something that isn't letting go. Touch it, bring the awareness, put your left hand on it, and see if you can slowly start to let it melt underneath the fingertips of your opposite hand. So that if you were to do one more, and then exhale and melt, just forget all about that right shoulder for a minute. Let it rest, and you can take your hand away for the time being if you want and add it back in a minute when we come back up. You can stay as you are. But we're going to bring the awareness down to the left leg instead. So the left leg's long, it's in the floor, it's touching the floor. So what would happen if, like the head, we pressed the leg into the floor instead? So as we take a breath in, really think about making an imprint of your left leg into the mat, and notice that your toes might pull towards your shin to lengthen the Achilles, the knee might grip, the calf, the hamstring, and then melt it away. Let everything soften and let it all turn back to jelly with your control. You're choosing to let go of the tension. So that if you were to do it again, could you maybe notice that you're actually rolling the pelvis down the mat and creating an arch of the left lower back? The right will move too, but we want to bring the awareness into the left. Notice the left lower back tighten, so that then as you exhale and let go, your left lower back can sink and melt, the pelvis can roll to neutral, the leg softens, the knee ungrips, and you melt as much tension away as possible. If you're struggling with that, just pause at neutral and give yourself a minute to just let anything else catch up so you can melt a tiny bit more. And then when you're ready, rejoin back in. Inhale, let the back arch, let the pelvis roll, let the leg press right down into the floor. Feel the squeeze. Maybe notice your shoulder on the right side is trying to help out. That's okay, it's part of the pattern. Melt it away. This connects our right shoulder to our left hip. Feel how they work together. So that if we wanted to, we could start to encourage this pattern, but with a bit of independence. So the shoulder can work without the opposite hip and vice versa. So to do that, we would go back down to the leg, inhale, arch, press the left leg into the floor. Notice what the right shoulder's doing, but don't encourage it just yet. Melt it away. And once you've melted, on the next breath in, just the right shoulder and the head press into the floor now, and the right rib cage arches, and your head might tip to the right as well. Create the tension on the right shoulder, melt it away. Notice what your left leg's doing. So that maybe next time you could go back down to that left leg. We're teaching the brain that we can move the left lower half of the body without automatically overusing the right upper half. They can move as a pattern, but they can move independently too. One more time, maybe you back up to the right shoulder. Melting everything away as you go. So that maybe you can take a rest and breath and think about putting the two parts together. So that on a breath in, you would press the right shoulder, head, elbow into the floor, as well as the left leg, allowing the left back to arch, rolling the pelvis down the floor. And notice the center point. You're going to be along your spine here. Feel the squeeze in the back. Notice where all the tension is being created along the spine, so that as you melt all of this away, let your back sink to the floor, let your rib cage sink with it, shoulder and shoulder blade return to neutral, pelvis, knee and foot relax to neutral as well. Try that a few more times. Please let me know if it's not making sense. Melt it away. Remember to let go of anything that you're not able to, as much as you can. The more you bring awareness to it, the more the ability will start to come. So that maybe if you wanted to do one more, you could. Don't squeeze the abdomen, let the back muscles squeeze. Melt everything away. So that when you're finished, you could lengthen down your right arm and your right leg and just check in and see how that feels. What's it like to lie flat? Sense your right upper back and your left lower back. Just before we move on to the next side, just bend your right knee back up again. And with your right arm, either extend it up alongside your right ear so that it's on the floor, or take it out to the side depending on what your shoulder prefers. And just take a few breaths in. And each time you take a breath in, reach your right arm along the floor, and on the breath out, let it melt back. So that what we're doing now is we're sliding the shoulder blade up the back and we're creating length through the side of the right rib cage, and then we're melting everything back down to neutral. Maybe try one more like that and then relax it back. And next time try the left leg instead. So what if we reach the left heel a little bit longer than what it was, and we let our right hip kind of hike up towards our right armpit a little bit. And the left hip goes long with the waist, and then slide it back to neutral. Maybe try it again. And then let it relax. Noticing how you're able to just control whether you're shortening or lengthening either side of the body. And then you might notice that as your left leg lengthens, your right arm slides down the floor. It's like it's going shorter. So that maybe when you relax your left leg, you could reach your right arm again and maybe notice that your left hip pulls up towards your armpit now, like the left leg shortens, so the right arm can lengthen. So it's a bit like a puppeteer pulling the strings, but just let it happen. Go back down to the left leg, let the right arm shorten. Relax it out. Now let the right arm lengthen and the left leg shorten. Lengthen it out. When you finish the one you're on, relax everything back down to neutral and just have another check-in. See how that feels. Notice the right shoulder and upper back, the left leg and lower back.